So now we've got a smoothie.
That was a good one.
We just shake the smoothie. Welcome to Recipes for Ramadan, and today you've got Laura, the customer care specialist from Tender Loving Care, and myself, Amera, the customer care manager. Today we will be making Bezela and ghazal, which is peas and carrots, with rose, which is your typical staple food that we eat in Ramadan. In the Egyptian culture, it's the most humble of foods, and this is something that we generally make on every occasion where it's good, wholesome food for the kids.
So let's just start our Bezela and rose. These are our ingredients. We have our peas and carrot. We've got our grated onion. We have a mixture of tomatoes, both cherry tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, whatever you have on hand.
This is the Egyptian style.
Egyptian style. We've got some salt, some garlic, some pepper, tomato paste, not traditional, and some coriander.
The beauty of Bezela and rose, which is the peas and carrots, is you can use it vegetarian, just on its own. You can use it with mincemeat, you can use it with gravy beef, you can use it with just your diced beef or your diced lamb, but it's great with any meat. Laura, how do you do it the Lebanese style?
So Lebanese style, I guess it depends on where you come from in Lebanon, your village. Some people do make it with mincemeat. Some people do make it with meat in a bone, so lamb shanks. It's a stew where it's a hearty dish. You can have that in the middle of winter. You can have it in the middle of summer, and it is honestly a treat. Today I have chosen to use a lamb backstrap. It is a very soft and tender type of meat. It cuts and cooks like butter. And the reason that I have chosen this meat today is because I wanted to keep a meat that anyone could use. This is a great beginner's recipe as well. If you feel like you're new to the kitchen and the pressure cooker is overwhelming and big equipment, this is a great way to start.
Today we'll be using our made foods, frozen foods from Voods. That was a tongue twister there. And the beauty of this dish today is the base where we're going to use our onion and our meat mixture. You can use it with many of our products, which could consist of our peas and carrots, or our okra. Whatever it is, the base will always be the same, but the contents will be different. Okay, moving on to the next step. Let's cut the backstrap.
The backstrap. Now guys, all I need to do is just slide the knife through it and it cuts like butter. I'm not even pressing. It's a great type of meat to start out with if you're a beginner. And it's also quicker than going into that whole boiling the meat for over an hour. It cooks really fast.
Laura is in her element at the moment. As soon as I told her we are doing recipes for Ramadan and I asked her to come along with me, she was over the moon. She's called me all weekend, super excited, addressing me Mrs. Chef.
I was like, good morning, Miss Chef, are we ready? So what I've done here is, because the backstrap is, it's quite a lean cut of meat as well, I cut them into little medallions. And then we kind of just cut them either in chunks or cubes. Now the reason if we're using this type of meat that we cut it this size, and generally the same size, is so it cooks evenly at the same time. You've got the same tenderness throughout the whole entire stew. And also, so when you pick up a spoonful, you've got a little bit of meat, you've got a little bit of everything on that spoon, and you get a party sensation. It is honestly one of my favorite dishes. When I was growing up and I came home from school and I knew my mum was making this, I would always ask for McDonald's on the way home. But now it is one of my favorite dishes. It is exciting to try it. And don't be afraid of zhuzhing it up, making it your own. Sometimes your family might not like something, and please feel free to cater to your family, your palate, what your family like. So when cutting any type of herb, it's so important to wash them thoroughly because they do hold a lot of sand. So once it's all dried up, I always roll it into almost like a cigar. Fingers out, in. Then go back and roll it real tight. press, down.
That's great, Laura. Who taught you how to chop?
I've got my people that I look up to. Try and getting them all the same size is important. There's nothing worse than having a carrot that's almost going to choke you to death than one that's really small. Try and get them the same size if you can. Okay. So we'll continue to do this and then we'll show you how we're going to put it together.
Okay, so traditionally we like to use fresh tomatoes. The reason why we like to use fresh tomatoes is it just gives it that aroma, that fresh taste. Or we use crushed tomatoes. So in this case, we've got fresh tomatoes, which I'm going to blend. We should use just a normal chopping blender, but in this case, we didn't have any choice except the NutriBullet.
There's always something so comforting when you walk into the smell of, you know, the base of any stew, which is usually garlic, coriander. There's something so comforting when you walk into that smell. It just fills up the home, honestly does. Doesn't matter where you come from or what recipe it is, it's a beautiful smell.
So what we're doing is we're going to fry the onion first. Just gonna wait till it's a little bit hot.
It's gone, good.
Okay. Yeah, that's the sound I like.
It's a good sound, it's a reassuring sound.
Yeah. And what I'll do is I'll just mix it a little bit to get the flavour of the onion. Alright, so we'll just keep mixing until it gets the flavour of the oil all together. And then I'll get my meat.
You always want a good sear on the meat, a good colour.
Absolutely. So we just mix it and just leave it a little bit till it starts to turn a nice brown. Okay. Yum, and you can actually smell the flavour together. It smells divine. So I like to chop my onion. I like to grate it because my husband doesn't like to see onion in food. So generally I grate it.
To hide it.
To hide it. But he doesn't know that everything I make has onion in it. Everything.
Well, now he's gonna know.
Yep. Fantastic.
So at this point, we would have added in coriander, but that's the Lebanese way. Today we are making it the Egyptian way. It smells good.
Yeah, it does. Okay. Now I'm going to add the Bezela and the gaza,
Carrot.
peas and carrots into the stew, and also give it a quick mix. Okay, and then I add the fresh tomatoes. My grandmother actually makes it like this and just puts a little bit of garlic and just serves it up with some rice. But in this case, we're going to add the fresh tomatoes. Oh, it's going everywhere. A little bit more, Laura. There we go. Okay. And in this case, what I usually do is I add chicken stock into the mix as well. Just gives it that extra zing. So how do you guys make
we
it?
wouldn't have used nor fresh or crushed tomatoes. In all our stews is all tomato paste based, and it just gives it that darker, the darker color in the sauce.
Yep.
Not saying that the fresh tomato is obviously a lot of flavor, but the tomato paste adds a depth of color. And also saying that depending on your stew and how much you add, tomato paste can be quite acidic. So in most cases, you'll find yourself adding a little bit of sugar. You wouldn't need to do that with fresh tomato because it's so beautifully sweet. You don't need to enhance it.
There we go. So we just let it simmer for about 15 minutes. Okay. And while we do that, we can add our flavor. So would you like to add the salt, pepper?
So I season heavy. I like my food seasoned well. Measure with your heart.
Beautiful. So sometimes also, if you don't like your meats, you can actually cook Bezela and rose, which is peas and carrots, with actually chicken breast. Have you ever tried that?
I have.
Actually tastes nice as well. So it's very versatile.
Yeah.
You can make it many different ways.
Yeah.
Lebanese style, Egyptian style. I know, is there a Jordanian style? We just had Jordanian chef just before we came in, but I'm not too sure. But any style that you like, you can actually enjoy Bezela.
Don't feel like you need to miss out because it specifically says, diced lamb. You work it towards your diet requirements, your family's likes, dislikes. It's great meaty and it's also great vegetarian.
So we're going to add a spoon of tomato paste as well.
That was measured with your heart, Amera. That was a big spoon.
Absolutely. There you go. So I would put it on low heat at this stage and just leave it. The beauty of these frozen foods is being a full-time work mum. The kids, as soon as you pick them up from school, Mum, is the food ready? I'm hungry. Mum, I'm hungry. Is the food ready? And I'm like, yes, the food is ready. So as soon as we get home, I put everything in the pressure cooker, the onion, the meat, the frozen peas and carrots and the tomato paste, literally 15 minutes. So by the time they change their clothes, wash their hands, the table is served.
Super mum.
Yes. And coming home, feeding starving kids with wholesome food is, I think, is great.
And that tastes great, which is a bonus.
Yeah.
So it also tastes, it looks great, it tastes great. It's a hearty meal.
So we're actually ready to plate up.
Look how amazing this looks. What do you think, Amera? Do you see how that little bit of tomato paste, how it changed the color of the stew?
Absolutely. And we don't like to upset anyone, as well. This is the final product. It smells absolutely divine. Thanks to Foods, helped us prepare this wholesome dish. Again, this is one of those dishes that are very, very humble and it's very, very satisfying to the soul.
Yes. So Amera, after a hearty dish, what do you like to eat after that?
A fresh salad.
For me, it's always a cold watermelon, and there is nothing that goes down cooler than watermelon and cheese. And I think it doesn't matter where you're from, it is known. Some people like to add some mint in there. Some people like to add some basil, some molasses, vinaigrette, the balsamic glaze. So depending on your personal preference, it is definitely a treat.
Definitely, and it's great for those hot summer nights as well. The cheese that we used is our Domti feta cheese, and it tastes absolutely divine.
It's so creamy, and you've got the sweet, crisp watermelon, the creamy cheese. I think it's a winner.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Would like to thank Recipes for Ramadan for having both Laura and myself here. Would really love for you guys to try this simple, easy dish, and looking forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah.